They say humiliation burns hotter than fire. They're wrong. It doesn't burn, it freezes. It traps you in stillness until even your heartbeat feels like the only warmth you have left. I still remember the splash. Icy water clinging to my dress as I fell into the marble fountain. My reflection shattered into ripples of shame. My father's laugh sliced through the music, deep and cruel. My mother's smirk followed. Then my sister leaned toward her groom and whispered, "She's always been embarrassment." The guests applauded like trained seals. Flashes went off. And me? I smiled through dripping mascara, my hair heavy with disgrace, and whispered, "Remember this moment. They think I've lost. They're wrong. 2 years earlier, I still believed that family meant loyalty. I spent sleepless nights quietly building my startup while they mocked every setback. You'll never make a living selling apps." My father sneered. "You need a husband, not ambition." And my sister, perfect, polished Emily, she took everything I ever wanted and called it hers. The praise, the attention, even my ideas. Once she told me, "You're clever, but no one listens to quiet girls." She was right, until I learned that silence could cut deeper than any blade. When I accidentally read her message, my stomach twisted. A text on my father's phone. "I'll convince her to sell the company. Dad says she doesn't deserve it anyway." My own blood plotting to gut me clean. I didn't confront them. I watched instead. Studied their patterns, their greed, their laughter at my expense. And I began to plan. 6 months later, I sold the company quietly for 8 figures. The buyer? A shell corporation owned by my husband, Michael. They believed it had failed, that I was broke and beaten. They pitted me, mocked me, called me useless for being unmarried. Perfect. That's exactly what I needed them to think. Michael wasn't just my husband. He was the kind of man who could dismantle reputations with a single call and rebuild them before sunrise. We met years ago at a conference, both outsiders at the edge of a room filled with noise. I never told my family about him. I'd learned by then they destroy what they can't control. When he proposed, I told him I didn't want a ring. I wanted revenge. Slow, quiet, absolute. He smiled and said, "Then we'll do it properly." So we built our plan together, piece by piece, move by move. By the time Emily's wedding arrived, every thread of the trap was in place. The venue was my father's estate, his pride, his symbol of power. I arrived alone, deliberately late. Heads turned, whispers followed. My dress was simple, my hair plain, a perfect contrast to Emily's glittering excess. I could feel their pity circle me like vultures. Then came my father's booming voice across the courtyard. She couldn't even find a date. He stumbled forward, drunk on champagne and arrogance, and shoved me hard. I fell backward into the fountain, cold water splashing against silken stone. Laughter erupted, loud, cruel, alive. I looked up through the ripples, smiled, and said again, "Remember this moment." Because I knew, in 20 minutes, their world would crumble. The first sign was a low hum of engines outside the gate. 5 sleek black cars rolled in. Men in tailored suits stepped out, followed by Michael. Tall, calm, the kind of presence that quiets a crowd without a word. My family froze. He walked straight to me, extended his hand, and helped me out of the fountain. Water dripped from my fingertips onto his perfect jacket. He didn't even flinch. He kissed my hand, then turned to the stunned guests. "My apologies for the delay," he said evenly. "My wife wanted her family to enjoy their final moment of pride before discovering who owns this estate now." The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. My father blinked, confused. "What are you talking about?" Michael's smile barely moved. "You should check your email, Robert. The bank accepted our offer last night. The debt you hid from your daughter was settled hours ago." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A few guests backed away. Emily's face went pale beneath her flawless makeup. I stepped forward, water still dripping, mascara streaking down my face. "I told you to remember this moment," I said softly, "because this is the last time you'll ever look down on me." Emily opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I saw it, the cracks forming in her perfect little world. The realization that I had outplayed them all. Within hours, The guests had vanished. My parents packed in silence as Michael's team arrived to change the locks. Emily's groom couldn't even look at her. The estate, their pride, their legacy, was gone. I didn't gloat. I didn't scream. I simply watched, calm, cold, complete. Later that night, Michael found me standing beside the same fountain, now drained and empty. "Do you regret it?" he asked. I looked down at the marble, remembering the laughter, the chill, the humiliation. "No," I said quietly. "They taught me how to endure humiliation. I just taught them what it costs." He smiled. "You're colder than I thought." I turned toward him.